Hello everyone, welcome to day 210 of playing chess every day for you. Let's find the game. E4, so the same opening as always. They play knight to c3. Could go for something different like e5, but I think d5 is still the best move, and if they take, I just recapture. And I could threaten push here and force the knight away. Could also go for the pin on the knight and then push, which could be very nice for me. Or I could pin first, and then threaten obviously to take. I really like pushing here because they have to make a move with the knight. If they jump back, then I could go for a pin. But I think pushing is good. I think just trading is good as well though. They take, could go for a pin on the knight. Could also play a move like, although f5 is not a good move at all. I think I just pin their knight. Could just develop my bishop to f5 and then bring my queen. Bishop f5 or bishop g4? I'm not sure which one's better. Bishop f5 feels right though. They jump back to hit my bishop. I don't think that's so good. I can just play bishop g4 now. h5 is an option. I don't see the idea behind bishop c6 because I guess they're threatening knight to e5, which would actually be checkmate. But if knight e5, I would just play knight h6, and I could just trade off the piece now. I can also just hit the bishop with b5. They sacrifice their bishop. Wow, this wins them a piece. That's a great move. If I take the bishop, they give a check. I take the bishop, they give a check, and they win the piece back. That's good play from them. I should probably take the piece because if I let them just have this position, it won't be good for me. King d7 can't be good because that would actually be worse, so I'll give them the piece. I'll slide back to e8. They do go ahead and take. The best move here is probably to tempo the queen. But then they give me a check. If I tempo the queen, they give a check. And it's a very annoying check because my king is very weak. And I have to push. And then they can probably just sacrifice. Wow, so knight f6, queen h5, I have to block. If they choose to sacrifice the knight, they can do that because they'd win the rook. So I'm actually in massive trouble here. In huge trouble. I really have to remove that knight. I could push now, but then they just sacrifice probably. They're playing very well. It's a great tactic that they found to give up their bishop. They give a check, I'm forced to block, and then they pick up the rook. They're playing very, very well. I'm forced to block. I feel like they might not be legit, although it actually looks like they are. They've played many games. I'm not sure if they're cheating. I don't think they are. If I block, I lose my rook, but that's actually my only choice. I have to give up the exchange. They can absolutely take the rook. They actually have checkmate. Wow, okay. I don't know. Let's look at this game. They just played a fantastic game, I think. They played with a 99.5. I played with a 65. They had 100% accuracy in the opening. All this was book. Everything was fine until my move b5. They must know this tactic. They must have played this opening many times. Bishop c4. A sacrifice of the bishop, which picks up my bishop. And they actually take with the queen, which is better than taking with the knight. I actually didn't see this. I thought they'd take with the knight. But they take with the queen, which is very active. My king's already very trapped, and I don't have a light squared bishop to protect myself. I go for a trade, but it's actually better to Go knight a6, I don't see the idea. g6 is forced. And I had to just accept that I'm losing the piece. This is a devastating position. If I go here, it's the best move. They have a discovery winning a rook. No, the discovery doesn't work because they take my queen. What they have to play is queen to f5. And they're just completely winning. Then I play rook g8 and try to defend myself. Taking's a blunder. My opponent played fantastic. I guess I'll play a second game for today. This time as white. I'll play e4 myself. And I hope we can get my favorite opening. And we do. If knight f6, I just play d3, h3. I've seen this many times before. They choose to slide back. I could choose just to go for more space. h3, castling, bringing my bishop. They're all good moves. I've seen this position so many times now. I've played it many times. I don't think them taking is good for them. So I don't want to let them take. Could put my bishop on a3 and then I'm threatening to push. Bishop a3. If they take, I take, but then they just take and it's solved. I should probably push. Force the knight to leave. Bishop a3 is a move that I can definitely play. It just helps me bring my knight. Though my knight's very weak on the side of the board. This is an active piece that they have that defends this, so yeah, if I can trade their bishop off, I'll be able to win this pawn. Because they have to move their knight. Unless they jump back and I go for the trade. And we trade and then they... Well, that's if they don't. They jump back with the knight. I could tempo it once more. But I think what's better is actually just removing the bishop from the game. They take. Could take with my rook. I could take in the center. I'll actually take with the knight though. Keep it simple. They have to protect this. I can just take, and if they take with the knight, I'll just castle. The takes with the knight attacks this, which is very annoying. So I don't want to waste tempo defending this. So I think I'll actually just go ahead and take the knight. I'll shoot castle now to avoid there being any problems. So c4 obviously makes a lot of sense. The queen doesn't have many good squares. c4 looks very natural. I'm just supporting my light square structure. If they have a push, I could just go back. I could also just take. They just slide back. I could set up an attack on this pawn. I think I'll just go ahead and castle though, and take the e-file. And then I'd be threatening to win the pawn. I'm not worried about them taking because I'll just take here. They should probably bring their rook, but then I still go ahead and take. If they do that. Rook takes also protects this, so I think it's just a good move in general. If they take, I take. My rook would be very strong. Queen b3 could potentially have some benefit. They could push, trying to protect their pawn. But then that would weaken their king so much long term. Wow, they actually go for it. If I push, I'm just threatening to take. If they recapture, I just take. And if they push through now, I actually have to leave. Although if they push through, I can push through myself. I have the more dangerous threat. They push through, I push through. And then I have this nice square for my knight. They push through and I push through and they take, I can recapture. Well, actually, I can go ahead and pin the queen. But then that would lose my knight, so... That's a nice move that they found. I could probably just still push though. Because if they take, I take. So I push, if they take, I take, and if they take, I pin the rook to the queen. But the queen is defended, which is a big problem for me. Knight back is probably a good choice. I could bring another rook into the game. They push through now, it looks quite annoying. They actually go ahead and take a free pawn, that's a very good move. I missed that I hung the pawn here. If I take, they take my queen. And I can't afford to give up the queen. Their king is very weak. Knight back to c3 looks nice, but the whole point of the move was to bring my knight to a better square. I think knight e3, knight. Well, I can't play knight f5, but knight e3 seems solid. Still can't take. I'd probably bring the rook on my next move. They could probably take. And they actually can. Pawn takes, knight takes, rook takes. They can actually just take. They choose to step forward. That's not a good move because yes they can take now the pawn. I am seeing that their king is very, very weak. If they ever move their rook, they're in big trouble. I think I'll tempo their queen for now. They have to be careful not to get their queen trapped. They take this way, I just take. If they take this way, I can just take with the knight though. Their queen isn't trapped, but doesn't have many good squares at all. Queen b4 is strong. I could actually choose to double up on this rook, which could be very good for me. So the queen b4, I go rook c2, rook d2. Queen b4, they can go ahead and take though, which is very, very annoying. Now I have to go back again to defend the pawn. I could come in actually here with my rook, defending everything, tempoing the queen. The queen isn't trapped, but it has to leave, I think, after this move. Queen back. If I take, they can take. So this is a point in the game where it's very complicated now. If I take, they can take. So I take, they take. I take, they take, I take. It's their move. They can win this pawn. It just can't be good for me, but I'll go for either way. I could take with my knight and then threaten to stop pushing. Or I could take with the rook and just trade down, but that would be a losing game for me. I'll actually go ahead and take with the knight. They can always win this pass pawn on the outside. I think black is winning here. They do go ahead and do that. I'm not sure taking is better than pushing. It doesn't seem like it is. Although I could double up. I could push and then double up. I think doubling up first is a choice. I'll actually go ahead and double up first here before I do anything else. I'll double up if they push. That's very annoying, but I'd just slide back. Could slide up to protect the pawn. I'll go ahead and double up. If they push through, I can't rook trade. They push through, maybe sliding back is the best choice. Then they slide forward again. Pushing through to e6 is definitely my best choice. I didn't expect them to move their bishop. If I move my rook, obviously they can't take because they would walk into a fork. Unless they slide back to defend. I'm not sure where to put my rook. I could go ahead and pin this. I think rook c4 makes the most sense. I'm down a pawn and two of them are on the outside of the board for my opponent. So they're definitely winning here. I really have to stop pushing my e-pawn through. I don't think trading is good for me. If they take, I would probably take with knight because I don't want to hang my one with checkmate. If I push through and they take, and I push through again, and they block, that's completely losing for me, so this feels like a weak move from them. I could keep my rook on the board. Then they're always threatening to double up, so I can't allow that. They can just take. I have to push. They can come in and pin my knight to my rook. I think if they take and I take and they come in for the pin, that's just completely winning for them. King over. I didn't expect that at all. They bring their king over again. I can't use that at the moment. At the moment I think I'll play moves like knight h4. Although knight h4 stops me from being able to move to this side of the board. I'll go ahead and play h4. They attack the pawn. I think I'll be forced to give up. I have to activate my king. They pin my knight. I could go ahead and tempo the bishop. The bishop would have to leave. Yeah, tempoing the bishop has to be a good move. They slide back, I just play g4. If they take, that's a huge blunder. Knight f5. Okay, they stopped me from playing knight to f5. I was going to say knight a5 would let me threaten a fork. If I play rook d1, right now they're threatening the fork, so could allow them the pawn, but I don't think that's a good choice at all. My goal is to force the knight to move and then threaten a fork. If I force the knight to move, they can move. Knight to f5 is strong for me, not f4. If I tempo the knight, they have to move it. Then I can tempo the pawn. If they take the pawn, I take the knight, so they can't really do it. They have this very strong pawn that they should probably start pushing, but I'll play knight to f5. Could play knight to d5, trying to tempo the rook. I don't think that would work. They just defend. If I take... So if I take, they take, I have this move. I take, they take, I have this move. I do win a pawn back, but I think this would just lose me the game. If I go here and they take, I go here, if they take, there's check, although check isn't good. I mean, here I'm just threatening to win the piece now. Knight f5 at this moment was strong. Although they can just take, I don't know why I said that. They can just take. Yeah, and I lose the game here. Because the rook was defended, so that move was pointless. This is an easy win for them. Even if I pick up the knight, they still just promote with check, so I'll go ahead and resign. And let's look at this second game. I played at a 70.2, they played at a 79.8. I had 5 misses, all of them were together at one stage in the game. They made 4 mistakes and a blunder, I made 3 mistakes. So my miss this game was queen to b3. And I don't see how that could be a miss. I don't see the threat behind queen to c3 here. Because if they do play c6, I'm actually supposed to sacrifice my bishop. Rook takes the bishop, gives me knight to g5. They have to play queen e8. And then I can sacrifice my queen to go ahead and take. This is apparently much better for me. That's not what I did. I didn't see. That would be nice for me to have such a position, but yeah, here trading was the best option for me because they're just threatening a pawn. Pushing wasn't the best. Wow, they actually trapped their own knight here with this move c6. They should play rook d8 here. That's a terrible move. And I completely missed the attack on the knight. And those were all the mistakes that I made this game. Both of us, for around 4 or 5 moves, missed that the knight on a7 was trapped. And we just kept making the same errors, both of us. Honestly, I just assumed that the knight would always have a square to go to, so when they played c6, I completely didn't see the idea behind it. That's what caused the mistakes. Rook c4 wasn't very good. And taking just put me in the worst position. I knew I'd be losing this a-file battle, but I played it anyway. And this was completely losing for me. I chose to go into this endgame knowing I was losing, so that's my mistake for taking on e5. Very rushed move. And I think missing that their piece was trapped was a big mistake from myself. Their best move would be, it said rook d8, but whatever they do, they're still in big trouble. So anyway, that's it for today guys. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you tomorrow.